Welcome to the Deep Dive, the only place where we take a stack of sources, grab the essential insights, and save you countless hours of reading. Today, we are focusing on a destination that most travelers bypass, a place frequently defined by its political context rather than its serenity and structure.
That's absolutely right. We are diving into Islamabad, the purpose-built capital of Pakistan. Now, for many of you listening, that name might conjure up immediate, almost reflexive images, stuff rooted in decades of intense media focus, a sense of chaos, maybe political tension, perhaps a difficult environment for the curious tourist.
And that expectation is exactly what makes our deep dive so essential today, because Islamabad is, well, by design and by actual experience, the complete, almost radical opposite of those preconceptions.
It really is. It's a city of organization. It's meticulously planned, remarkably green, and surprisingly modern.
Yeah, you really get that planned feeling.
It's vital to remember the origins here. Unlike, say, the organic sprawl of Lahore or the intense density of Karachi, Islamabad was conceptualized and executed pretty much from scratch back in the 1960s.
Right, it didn't just grow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was engineered. Our sources point back to the work of this Greek urban planner, Konstantinos Doxiadis. His philosophy wasn't just about, putting up buildings. It was about integrating urban life seamlessly with the natural environment.
And that design ethos, it really explains why the feeling is so different, doesn't it?
Totally. It feels less like a typical South Asian mega city and much more like a peaceful, sprawling university campus that's been deliberately nestled within a vast national park.
Even the noise profile, the air quality.
Yeah, everything is structured to sort of reduce that traditional urban friction. It's quite noticeable.
So that structure is really the core of our mission today. We're going beyond the headlines, aren't we?
Absolutely. We need to break down the logistics, how you actually get in, showcase the unique architectural sites, the natural stuff, explore the truly exceptional food. Seriously, the food.
Oh, I've heard things about the food.
And capture the real on-the-ground vibe. We want to answer that ultimate question for the adventurous, curious traveler.
Yeah.
Is the, let's say, diligence required for a trip to Islamabad genuinely worth the effort? And how do you navigate it once you're actually there?
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's get right into the foundational details. The practicalities, entry, movement, all that good stuff. All right, starting with the arrival experience. You'll be flying into Islamabad International Airport, code ISB. What's the consensus from our sources on this? Is it chaotic?
No, actually, the consensus is strong. It's a new facility, state-of-the-art. The reports suggest the arrival experience is clean, modern, and thankfully quite smooth.
That's always a welcome sign, isn't it? Especially entering a new place.
Definitely. And that smooth arrival, it sort of signals Pakistan's significant investment in modern infrastructure. Access is pretty simple from global hubs, too.
How so?
Well, you've got excellent flight connections via the major Middle Eastern carriers, Emirates, Qatar, Etihad. So for travelers coming from North America or Europe, it's typically just a single, pretty easy stopover.
Okay, flights sound straightforward. Logistically, though, the big hurdle for Pakistan, historically at least, has always been the visa process, right? It used to be this paper-intensive, embassy-dependent thing that really put off casual travelers. Has that actually eased up?
It really has. Dramatically, in fact. Pakistan has implemented an accessible e-visa system, which is a massive modernization step. Huge difference.
So all online?
Yep. Apply entirely online. You just upload the necessary digital documents, a current passport photo, proof of address, maybe confirmed accommodation bookings.
But modern doesn't always mean instant, does it? Especially with government stuff. How much lead time do travelers really need to factor in for this e-visa?
Yeah, good point. Patience is critical. While the process is electronic, you definitely still need to allow a few weeks for processing. Don't cut it fine.
Okay, a few weeks.
And here's where that sort of bureaucratic legacy shows up. You must be excruciatingly thorough with the application. Our sources really stress this. You have to fill out every single field provided.
Every single one.
Every single one. Even if the information seems redundant or repetitive, or if the form structure seems a bit confusing, just fill it all in.
Okay. Sounds like one of those classic admin traps. Leaving blanks just signals incompleteness, right? Triggers delays.
Exactly. Annoying, but diligence up front saves potentially weeks of chasing things later. Now, another thing that often concerns first-time visitors is this requirement for the LOI, the letter of invitation.
Right, the LOI. That sounds very formal, almost like a throwback. What exactly is it, and how easily does a regular tourist get one?
Yeah, it does sound intimidating, doesn't it? But it shouldn't really deter you. The LOI essentially serves as a formalized security measure. It just certifies that a registered entity within Pakistan knows about your visit and is sort of vouching for you.
So who provides this?
Most established registered tour operators or reputable higher-end hotels,
Mm-hmm.
the ones you'd likely find in those F sectors we'll talk about, they're completely used to providing this document.
For a fee, I assume.
Usually for a relatively small administrative fee, yeah.
Hmm.
Once your booking is confirmed, it's basically a formality that's now pretty easily integrated into the booking process with the right places.
Okay, so handle the diligence on the visa, get the LOI sorted with your hotel booking, allow a few weeks, and you've arrived at ISB. Now, navigating this vast, planned city, how do you do that without the usual stress of urban transport?
Right, and this is where Islamabad reveals its unexpected convenience, actually.
Yeah.
Ride-sharing apps are basically your navigational lifeline.
Like Uber.
Yeah, Uber works, but also Careem. Careem has enormous local market penetration. It's huge there. They're both widely available, super efficient, and honestly, their pricing structure fundamentally changes the math of your trip.
Let's put a finer point on that pricing. You said incredibly cheap. What does that mean in real terms?
Well, we're talking major cross-city commutes, right? Maybe 30 minutes in the car.
Yeah.
That's costing you roughly the equivalent of, say, $3 or $4, maybe 5 at a push.
Wow, okay. That is transformative for a travel budget.
It absolutely is. It essentially removes the need to rely on fixed-route public transport unless you specifically want that local experience, of course.
And what if you're doing a lot of sightseeing in one day?
Well, for maximum convenience, you can even negotiate or book a driver for the entire day right through the app. They offer fixed, extremely competitive prices for that. Really handy.
Given that level of convenience and the low cost, I imagine the advice against trying to drive yourself remains pretty firm.
Oh, absolutely firm. Yes. Well, Islamabad is, spatially organized on a grid. The driving culture is, well, it's a complex local ecosystem.
How so? Our source materials describe the traffic rules as enthusiastically interpreted. That sounds like a polite way of saying chaos.
That's a very diplomatic way of putting it.
Yeah.
Think about lane discipline. It's more of a suggestion. A 3-lane road might easily accommodate 5 cars across. It just flows differently.
And horns, constant honking.
Not aggressively, usually. The horn is used more like sonar. I'm here, I'm passing, acknowledge me. It's communication, not necessarily anger.
Yeah.
And roundabouts, they operate on this fluid, almost aggressive negotiation system, not rigid right away.
Okay, so trying to jump into that flow as a foreigner.
Stressful, potentially dangerous, and honestly completely unnecessary given how good and cheap the local driver options are. Just don't do it.
Right, let a local pro handle that complexity. Lets you relax and actually look around. Makes sense. But what if you are on a super tight budget? Or you want to connect Islamabad with its bigger twin city, Rawalpindi? Is there an alternative?
There is, yeah. That would be the Metro bus service. It's actually really efficient, reliable, and notably clean for public transport.
And it avoids the traffic.
Crucially, yes. It runs on its own dedicated, often elevated track, so it completely bypasses all that road traffic chaos we just talked about. It's a quick, very cost-effective way to commute between the structured, modern environment of Islamabad and the older, more sprawling, traditional city of Rawalpindi next door.
Okay, so logistics look manageable. Diligence on the e-visa, lean heavily on ride-sharing once you land. It definitely reframes that initial feeling of difficulty, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's much more accessible than people think.
Yeah.
Right. So moving from movement to structure, understanding Islamabad's layout is, well, it's fundamental to enjoying your time there because it's not organic like most cities. It's a true planned city.
Built on that grid system, right?
Exactly. A methodical, easy-to-read grid system divided into numbered and lettered sectors, F6, G7, that kind of thing.
It reminds me a bit of Washington, D.C.'s structure, but maybe greener. Ties back to that Greek planner, Doxiadis, you mentioned.
Spot on. Doxiadis' plan explicitly allocated huge areas for greenery, public parks, buffer zones. That's why the air quality feels fresher and the density seems lower than you'd expect. It's zoned quite heavily.
So different zones for different things.
Yeah. The F sectors like F6, F7, F8, they're largely the dedicated residential and commercial zones, known for being very high-quality, leafy, nice areas. The G sectors often contain more institutional or governmental buildings. H sectors have educational institutions, and ICS sectors are industrial. It's all laid out.
Okay, so for a tourist looking for that sweet spot, atmosphere, safety, accessibility, where should they aim to stay within that grid?
The general recommendation points towards F6, F7, and maybe G6. F6 and F7 in particular are really the central heart of that comfortable Islamabad lifestyle people talk about.
Leafy, lots of cafes.
Exactly. Leafy, very well maintained, and they host a lot of the city's best independent boutiques, high-quality cafes, good restaurants. It gives you a beautiful, peaceful neighborhood base to operate from.
Okay, got the location. Now, accommodation. It sounds like the traveler faces a pretty stark choice. Either the big, high-end international hotel experience or something more rooted in the local fabric. Let's look at the luxury end first.
Right. The city has the big institutional five-star players.
Mm-hmm.
The Serene Hotel, the Marriott. These are practically landmarks in their own right.
What do they offer besides the brand name?
Well, they feature huge, beautiful grounds, all the amenities you can think of, spas, multiple high-end restaurants, pools, and critically very high levels of visible security. Lots of checks, barriers,
Which is reassuring on one level.
definitely reassuring.
Right.
But, as you hinted, that comprehensive security also tends to create a bit of an insulated experience, a bubble. You could almost be in any high-end hotel anywhere in the world.
Yeah, you miss the street level feel.
Precisely. They offer ultimate comfort and guaranteed safety, but they do isolate you somewhat from the immediate street life of the city. And of course, they come with a hefty international price tag.
So, for the traveler seeking maybe a deeper engagement, a more authentic feel, what's the alternative?
Well, this is where our sources strongly advocate for the guest house alternative.
Ah, the guest houses. And these are often located right within those desirable F6 or F7 residential sectors, right?
That's the key benefit. Immersion. They're right there in the neighborhoods. The guest houses offer accommodation at a fraction of the cost of the big hotels, but the experience is often far more personal and, frankly, rewarding.
How so? What makes them more rewarding?
Well, for starters, they often include delicious, home-cooked Pakistani breakfasts. Think fresh parathas, maybe some spicy omelets, all prepared right there by the staff.
Nice. Beats a generic buffet.
Totally. And the staff often transition from just being service providers to being genuine local guides. They offer tips and advice that are way more specific and helpful than anything you'd find in a brochure.
Any examples of that?
Absolutely. One anecdote from the source material highlighted how a guest house host didn't just give directions. He actually helped a guest navigate a complex transaction with a local tailor to get traditional clothes made, like went with them, helped negotiate. That's the level of personalized service you'd just never find at a five-star chain.
Wow, that's fantastic. And it puts you immediately into the rhythm of the neighborhood, doesn't it?
Exactly. You step out onto the residential street and you see local families heading out for evening walks, maybe kids finishing up a game of cricket in a nearby park or green space.
It's that real peaceful glimpse into the highly ordered everyday life, the kind of thing you often miss when you're staying behind a big security perimeter.
Yeah, it lets you sort of participate in the serenity rather than just observing it from a distance.
Yeah.
So, for the discerning, curious traveler, a highly rated guest house offers a really rich, affordable, and culturally interactive experience that those luxury hotels simply can't replicate. It's definitely the recommended route for value and authenticity.
Okay, we've handled the logistics, sorted the base camp. Now, let's dive into what sounds like the sensory heart of the trip. The food. What our sources consistently suggest is that the sheer quality and depth of Pakistani cuisine, well, it might justify the journey all by itself.
Oh, absolutely. It's not just sustenance. It's a culinary event. It truly is a world-class experience. I'd say a solid 10 out of 10. Pakistani food often differs from its regional neighbors. It focuses more on, say, richness, the intensity of meat flavors, and the sophisticated use of aromatics like ginger, cumin, cardamom.
Sounds amazing.
It is. And we absolutely have to start this conversation with the iconic Monal restaurant.
Yes, Mo Now. It sounds geographically dominant, doesn't it? Not just a place to eat, but like an architectural feature perched dramatically high up in the Margala Hills. The experience starts before the first bite, right?
Totally. The atmosphere is just unbeatable. You get this sweeping cinematic vista of the entire sprawling, lit-up city below you. It's incredible.
Best time to go.
Definitely aim for sunset or after dark, when all the city lights are twinkling. It features this enormous outdoor terrace, often with live, traditional music playing. It sets a really celebratory mood.
Okay, so you're securing a table mainly for the view. But what about the food? What on the menu must the listener try to genuinely tap into that Pakistani flavor profile you mentioned?
Right. The food holds up, too.
Yeah.
You absolutely must go for the barbecue platters. They excel at tandoor and grill work there. But the essential experience, I'd argue, is the chicken karahi.
Chicken karahi. Okay, tell me about that. What makes it special?
Well, it's prepared in a specific type of wok-like pan, a karahi, which gives the dish its name. The cooking technique is key.
How so? What's the flavor differentiator?
Unlike some regional curries that might be stewed for ages, the karahi is characterized by being cooked relatively quickly over high heat, often using very little water. The base is intensely flavorful. Rich, ripe tomatoes, copious amounts of fresh ginger, green chilies, and whole spices that just bloom in that heat.
Sounds intense.
It is. It's intensely aromatic, and the chicken stays incredibly tender because it's sort of braised and steamed in its own juices and that tomato base. Really vibrant.
Okay, karahi is a must. You mentioned barbecue platters too. Kebabs.
Yes. The Sikh kebabs, minced meat on skewers, and the chapli kebabs, which are like spiced mince patties, are legendary. They're often marinated overnight in yogurt, sometimes papaya paste to tenderize, and a blend of spices.
So they're super tender.
Oh yeah. They literally melt in your mouth when they're grilled perfectly over coals. Absolutely fantastic.
Okay, Manal sounds like a definite highlight. Logistically, if everyone wants to go there, what should travelers know? Is it hard to get a table?
It requires a bit of planning, yeah. Definitely book ahead, especially if you visit falls on a Thursday or a weekend evening. Those are peak times.
And aim for dinner.
Yes, aim specifically for dinner service to fully capture that magnificent twinkling night view of the capital spread out below. It's worth it.
Okay, that's the grand panoramic dining experience. Now let's pivot to something maybe more rooted in history, more rustic charm. Saidpur Village.
Ah, Saidpur. It's fascinating because it's a physical remnant of the area's history, actually predating the capital's construction. It's a preserved historical village that's been converted into this hub of restaurants and art galleries.
Sounds charming.
It really is. It maintains this magical atmosphere, with old cobblestone streets, little artisan shops. And interestingly, remnants of an old Hindu temple exist there alongside a traditional mosque, a kind of physical representation of historical coexistence in the region.
And stepping into Saidpur, it sounds like accessing a different regional identity within Pakistan, specifically the food.
Yes, it focuses heavily on authentic Pashtun cuisine from the northwest of Pakistan near the Afghan border. The dining experience often involves very traditional settings too.
Like what?
You might find yourself seated on charpoys, which are traditional woven cots, or maybe on low cushions placed directly on the floor. It really enhances that rustic, immersive experience. Places like Dir Pakhtoon offer this.
Cool. And the essential dish from this Pashtun tradition, what should we look for?
You absolutely must try the Kabuli pulao. Now, this is not the super spicy, oil-rich rice you might associate with other parts of South Asia. It's different.
How is it different?
It's a beautifully fragrant rice dish. It's characterized by the use of complex aromatics like cardamom and cinnamon, but it's not fiery hot. It features incredibly tender cuts of lamb, often shank, slow cooked until melting. And it's typically studded with sweet raisins and crunchy julienned carrots.
Raisins? That introduces a fascinating element, a savory dish with a definite touch of sweetness.
Exactly. It's that balance that defines it. The meat and the fragrant rice provide this hearty, savory foundation, but the dried fruit gives this gentle, unexpected layer of sweetness and texture. It's deeply satisfying and really comforting. A classic.
Okay, Manal for the view and barbecue, Saidpur for history, and Kabuli pulao. Beyond these landmark venues, you mentioned seeking out smaller, more local spots too.
Absolutely. That's often where the real discoveries happen, right? The food culture in Islamabad runs deep into the neighborhoods. Best advice. Ask your guest house host for their top recommendation for a proper, traditional breakfast.
And what might that involve?
Well, this is your golden opportunity to try nihari.
Nihari, right? That's a foundational dish in this region, isn't it? Sounds intense for breakfast.
It is intense, but in the best way. It is the ultimate slow-cooked, rich experience. Nihari is a meat stew, often beef shank or lamb shank that's slow-braised, sometimes literally overnight, until the meat is just falling apart.
And the gravy.
Oh, the gravy is thick, viscous, intensely flavored with bone marrow and specific spices like fennel seeds and dried ginger powder, sant. It's incredibly rich and complex.
Wow, that kind of richness demands the perfect accompaniment, doesn't it? You can't just eat it with a spoon.
Exactly. And that perfect accompaniment is a fresh paratha, or maybe two.
Describe the paratha.
It's a layered flatbread, often made with whole wheat flour, cooked in ghee, clarified butter, or oil until it's perfectly flaky and crispy on the outside, but still soft and chewy on the inside.
Ah, okay, I can picture it.
Dipping that warm, flaky paratha into the intensely rich, steaming nihari stew. That is the quintessential Pakistani breakfast experience. Forget cereal.
Huh. Okay, message received. So, to synthesize the food part, Be courageous, be adventurous, be prepared for intense, amazing flavor. From the high-altitude glamour of Monal to the historic charm of Saidpur and the deep comfort of a neighborhood Nihari, the food is, without question, a major, major draw for making the journey.
Absolutely. 10 out of 10, like I said. Don't miss out. All right, so beyond the incredible food, Islamabad really offers this fascinating trifecta for the traveler. You've got unique spiritual architecture, profound national symbolism, and then this immediate access to rugged natural beauty. It's quite a mix.
Let's start with the spiritual anchor. The Faisal Mosque. The pictures are striking. The architecture is often what people notice first, because it just radically defies the traditional image of a South Asian mosque, doesn't it?
It really does. It doesn't look like it belongs to the classical Ottoman or Mughal tradition at all.
Why is that?
Well, that was entirely intentional. The mosque was designed by a Turkish architect, Vedat Delikay, back in the 70s, and his vision was pretty revolutionary for its time. It completely dispenses with the traditional dome structure you expect.
So what is the structure based on?
Instead, the design is modeled explicitly after a traditional Bedouin tent. It's this vast concrete geometric structure, almost like folded paper, pitched dramatically against the mountains behind it.
And the scale looks immense in photos.
Oh, it is. It's set against that green backdrop of the Margalla Hills, which really emphasizes its size. And those four towering minarets, they stand like these futuristic beacons, or as one source suggested, they look almost like rockets framing the central prayer hall.
And it holds a lot of people.
Tens of thousands. It can accommodate a huge number of worshipers within its main hall and the vast courtyard, making it one of the largest mosques globally, capacity-wise. For visitors, the feeling is one of profound modernity combined with this ancient sense of reverence. It's a powerful statement.
A statement about Pakistan's identity.
Yeah, about the country's forward-looking Islamic identity, grounded in tradition but embracing modern forms. It's quite unique.
Okay, so visiting such a significant spiritual site requires some awareness. What's the necessary etiquette for visitors? Dress code.
Yes, conservative dress is mandatory, just out of respect. That means long sleeves and long pants or skirts for everyone. Women must cover their hair. A headscarf is needed.
What if you forget or don't have the right clothes?
It's usually fine.
Okay.
The staff are generally very welcoming and understand tourists might not know. They often provide abayas, long robes, or scarves at the entrance for temporary use if you need them. They want people to visit respectfully.
And the interior. What's the feeling inside?
The main prayer hall itself is vast, very bright because of the design, and intensely quiet, especially outside of prayer times. It really does evoke a feeling of peace and introspection. It's quite moving.
Okay, from the spiritual to the national. Let's talk about the Pakistan Monument. This looks like where the country's complex modern identity is sort of distilled into architectural symbolism.
That's a great way to put it. The monument is really striking. It's shaped like a massive blooming flower or maybe a rising crescent moon, crafted from granite and marble. But the symbolism is the key to understanding its purpose. It features 7 petals in total.
7 petals. Tell us about those. What story are they telling the visitor? What do they represent?
Okay, so the 4 large, distinct outer petals represent the 4 major cultures or provinces of Pakistan: Balochistan, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, often abbreviated as KP, Punjab, and Sindh.
Right, the main constituents.
Exactly. Then the 3 smaller inner petals represent the territories in other regions like Gilgit-Baltistan, Azad Kashmir, and the federally administered tribal areas, though that status has evolved. It symbolizes unity emerging from this diversity.
And are they just plain petals?
No, each petal is intricately inscribed or decorated with artwork depicting important historical moments, cultural figures, architectural landmarks, or art forms relevant to that specific region. It makes it a really excellent spot, not just for photos, but for reflecting on the country's founding and its diverse makeup.
And right next to that monument, conveniently, is the cultural counterpoint, a place that gives visitors the context needed to actually understand what those 7 petals represent. The Lok Versa Museum.
Yes. This is, I would say, a non-negotiable visit for the curious traveler. If you want to understand Pakistan beyond the headlines, you go here.
What kind of museum is it?
It's essentially a cultural anthropology museum, and it's brilliantly organized. It showcases the art, the music, the festivals, the traditions, the clothing, the handicrafts of all the different regions represented in the monument next door. It's a comprehensive look at Pakistan's incredible diversity.
Can you give some specific examples? What might you actually see inside?
Oh, absolutely. The exhibits are really richly detailed, often with life-size dioramas. You'll see examples of intricate Balaf mirrorwork embroidery and specialized needlework. You'll see the vibrant, colorful traditional clothing of the Sindh region, detailed wood carvings, and unique folk music instruments from the northern mountainous areas like Hunza or Chitral.
Anything else stand out?
Yeah, artifacts from the unique, ancient, pagan-influenced Kalash people who live in remote valleys in the northwest. It provides essential context that explains the rich, complex tapestry of Pakistan far beyond the monolithic image often portrayed. It really brings those petals on the monument to life.
Okay, so we've got the spiritual awe of the mosque, the national pride of the monument, and the deep cultural context from Lok Versa. Now, let's shift to the element that really defines Islamabad's physical experience, the Margala Hills National Park.
This is truly unique for a capital city.
Yeah.
We're talking about a 400 square kilometer national park that serves as Islamabad's immediate backyard. It's not miles away. It's right there.
A protected area.
Yes, fully protected. And it's located literally on the northern edge of the city's grid. Access is incredibly easy and immediate from many sectors.
So what's the best way for a visitor to actually interact with this vast natural asset? What do people do there?
Hiking is the primary activity, and the park is really well structured for it. There are literally dozens of well-marked trails, ranging hugely in difficulty.
From easy walks to serious climb.
Exactly. You have quick, relatively easy one-hour strolls you can do. But you also have strenuous, challenging full-day hikes that reward you with some serious altitude and breathtaking views.
Okay, for a traveler, maybe with limited time, or who isn't a pro hiker, which trails are generally recommended?
Trail 3 and Trail 5 seem to be the most frequently used and generally well-maintained ones. Trail 3 typically starts near the F6 sector. It's known for being quite steep, but offers stunning, rapid views opening up over the city as you climb.
And Trail 5?
Trail 5 is often considered slightly easier, maybe a bit longer. It runs along a stream for part of the way, which can be lovely, especially in the cooler months. Crucially, as you ascend either of these, you gain these incredible panoramic views of the entire planned city. Below that grid layout becomes totally visible. You see Doxiadis' plan in reality.
That sounds amazing. Now, it is a national park. Are there any specific things hikers should be aware of regarding the natural environment?
Wildlife.
Oh yeah, the hills are definitely wild. You will almost certainly encounter monkeys, particularly near the trailheads where people sometimes feed them, which you probably shouldn't do.
Anything bigger? Well, while rare, and they're very shy and usually avoid humans, the park is home to leopards. It's important to remember it's their habitat. So, standard precautions apply.
Like what?
Hike during daylight hours. Always carry sufficient water, especially when it's hot. And for inexperienced hikers thinking about tackling the longer, more remote routes, it might be wise to consider hiring a local guide. That's easily arranged through most guest houses or hotels. Safety first, you know.
Good advice. Okay, finally, let's turn back toward the urban center for just a moment. Let's look at modern commerce. Where does one go to see Islamabad's cosmopolitan consumer culture side?
Right, that would primarily be the blue area. That's the city's designated central commercial and business spine. It runs right through the middle.
And within the blue area, any specific spot?
Yes, the Centaurus Mall is probably the most prominent place to observe modern Islamabad in action. It's this massive multi-tower structure that serves as a major focal point for shopping, entertainment, and just social life in general.
Sounds like a snapshot of the forward-looking urban middle and upper classes.
Exactly. It's packed with local and international brands, everything from high fashion to electronics. It features immense entertainment zones, cinemas, kids' play areas, and a huge, bustling food court with global and local chains.
So visiting isn't just about shopping?
No, not at all. It's really about witnessing the energy of a major metropolitan center that is very much focused on consumerism and global connection. It definitely helps shatter any remaining stereotypes you might have of a backward or completely isolated capital. It's vibrant.
Okay, we've meticulously detailed the structure, the sites, the food, the nature. Now we have to address what might be the most significant psychological barrier for many prospective travelers. The safety question. The perception, often broadcast by international news, and the reality on the ground. They can be two completely different things, right?
Absolutely. And that gap between perception and reality is just so central to the Islamabad experience. So let's state it clearly based on the sources and consistent reports. The on-the-ground reality in Islamabad is generally highly secure.
Why is that?
Well, this is the capital city. It houses all the embassies, major government institutions, the military headquarters. So it's a city that is invested very heavily in stability and protection, particularly given its status as the institutional heart of the nation.
Okay, but safety is nuanced, isn't it?
Hmm.
For a sophisticated traveler, while the environment might be secure overall, doesn't the necessity for all those constant security checks, that visible police and military presence, doesn't that inherently suggest a higher baseline level of maybe not danger, but tension than one might experience in, say, a typical European capital?
That is a very fair point and an important distinction. The presence of visible security, checkpoints near sensitive areas, barriers around certain buildings, police patrols, it is undeniable. You will see it.
Right.
However, the crucial distinction, based on visitor experiences, is this: that visible security is primarily focused on institutional protection. Government buildings, high-end hotels, the diplomatic enclave. For the average tourist moving through the main residential F sectors, or visiting Saidpur village, or hiking in the Margala Hills, that security presence tends to feel more reassuring. It's like a background hum that enables a feeling of stability, rather than feeling like an oppressive, immediate threat aimed at you.
Interesting. So it feels protective rather than restrictive for the most part.
That seems to be the common feeling, yes. And in fact, based on the source experiences we reviewed, the overriding atmosphere reported is not one of tension at all, but actually of profound serenity and warmth.
Serenity is a word that keeps coming up. That's surprising to many, I think.
It really is startling for first-time visitors. Because of Doxiadis' careful planning, the sheer amount of green space, and the proximity to the Margalla Hills, the city is remarkably clean. The air, especially compared to other regional capitals, feels noticeably fresh.
And the soundscape is different too.
Oh yeah. For travelers who have experienced the constant noise and density of other South Asian capitals, the audible difference in Islamabad is transformative. You mentioned the lack of constant horn honking earlier.
Right. That detail really struck me. It's such a profound indicator of a different pace, a different vibe.
It speaks volumes about the generally relaxed pace of life there. In Delhi or Mumbai or Lahore, the constant blaring horn is almost the background score. In Islamabad, particularly in the leafy residential sectors, it's often quiet enough that you can genuinely hear the birds singing.
Wow.
That quietude really underpins that unexpected sense of peace people feel.
Okay, so the atmosphere is serene. What about interactions with local people? Hospitality is legendary in Pakistan generally, but how does it actually manifest for a visitor in the capital?
The dominant feeling reported is one of genuine, often unsolicited warmth. We have to understand the cultural concept of mehman nawazi, which translates roughly to guest hospitality. It's deeply, deeply ingrained in the culture across the country, including Islamabad.
So people are friendly.
Overwhelmingly so. People are often genuinely curious and actually happy to see tourists, especially those from Western countries, perhaps because there aren't throngs of them. They will frequently initiate conversations asking where you're from, welcoming you to their city, maybe offering help or directions.
That human connection is often the most memorable part of any journey, isn't it? But it requires the traveler to be open and receptive while also being mindful of cultural norms.
Absolutely. That openness needs to be balanced with cultural awareness and respect. For example, regarding greetings. While handshakes between men are common, and sometimes offered by women in professional contexts, it's generally best practice for men to wait for a woman to extend her hand first. A polite nod and verbal greeting is always safe. Just pay attention to local cues.
Good tip. And what about photography? Especially given that high security presence near government buildings you mentioned. Is that tricky?
Yeah, you need to be cautious and use common sense there. Definitely avoid taking photos of anything that looks remotely official or related to military or police operations. That includes checkpoints, government buildings with guards, military vehicles.
Just don't point your camera at security stuff.
Basically, yes.
Mm-hmm.
The security personnel are doing their job, and discretion is paramount. It can be misinterpreted. When taking photos of people, as anywhere, always ask permission first. Most people are happy to oblige, but asking shows respect.
Okay. Now, in terms of specific actionable safety advice, moving beyond just generic, be aware of your surroundings, what should the sophisticated traveler actually implement day to day?
Right, practical stuff. First, when using ride-sharing apps like Careem or Uber, definitely utilize the Share Your Trip function. Send your live location to someone trusted back home or a travel companion. It's easy and adds a layer of security.
Smart. What else?
Second, always carry high-quality color photocopies of your passport's main page and your Pakistani visa. Leave the original document secured safely in your hotel room or guest house safe. Don't walk around with your actual passport unless absolutely necessary.
Good standard practice anywhere, really.
True. Third, particularly, though not exclusively, for solo female travelers. Maintain conservative dress. This isn't about enforcing a mandatory law in Islamabad for tourists, because there isn't one like in some other countries, but dressing modestly, meaning long trousers or skirts and tops with sleeves, maybe carrying a light scarf, significantly helps you blend in and minimizes any potential unwanted attention. It's about cultural respect and practical comfort.
Okay, so the overall verdict on vibe and safety seems to be Islamabad offers a level of operational street safety and welcoming atmosphere that drastically outperforms its often negative international geopolitical reputation, provided, of course, the traveler adheres to standard, thoughtful safety practices and shows cultural discipline.
That sums it up perfectly. It feels safe, it feels calm, it feels welcoming. Okay, so based on synthesizing all these experiences in our deep dive into the practicalities, the sights, the food, we've developed a final list of what seem to be crucial pieces of advice, things to actively skip doing, and how to optimize your time and pace yourself in Islamabad.
All right, let's hear them. Key takeaways.
The first one is absolutely non-negotiable based on everything we've seen. Skip rushing. Do not try to rush Islamabad.
That feels counterintuitive, maybe. It's the antithesis of how many, let's say, high-performance travelers approach a new city checklist. Tick, tick, tick. But Islamabad clearly rewards a more leisurely approach.
It absolutely does. The city's core charm, the thing that makes it special, is its high quality of life and its relaxed pace. If you attempt to cram the spiritual weight and architectural detail of the Faisal Mosque, followed immediately by a strenuous hike up Trail 5 in the Margala Hills, and then a full, multi-course culinary tour at Saidpur Village all into one frantic day,
You'll be exhausted.
exactly. You will utterly exhaust yourself, and more importantly, you will completely miss the primary benefit of being in this specific destination, soaking in that unique serenity and calm. You won't feel it if you're sprinting.
Okay, so if the charm is the relaxed pace, what's the practical pacing recommendation for the traveler? How many days are needed?
Look, you need a minimum, absolute minimum, of 3 full days just for Islamabad itself, and that's if you're efficient. 4 might be better if you really want to relax into it.
And how should those days be structured?
This allows you to truly savor each experience. For example, dedicate an entire morning just to the Faisal Mosque and its surroundings. Take time to walk around, absorb the vast interior, appreciate the exterior architecture from different angles, allow for a long leisurely lunch somewhere nice, maybe followed by just a slow walk through one of the beautifully maintained F-sector parks or along a green belt. It's really about quality of observation over the sheer quantity of sights ticked off a list. Breathe it in.
Right. Soak it up, don't just see it. Okay, next piece of advice. What should travelers avoid spending their money on, particularly souvenirs?
Yeah, skip the generic high-traffic souvenir stalls that you will inevitably find clustered near the entrances of major tourist areas, like right outside the Faisal Mosque or maybe near the Pakistan Monument.
Why skip those?
The items there are often mass-produced, probably not even made locally, let alone in Pakistan sometimes. They lack authenticity, the quality is usually questionable, and buying there generally funnels money to middlemen, not necessarily back to the actual artisans who might have inspired the designs.
Okay, so if people do want to buy authentic, high-quality goods that genuinely represent the diverse regions of Pakistan, where's the better option? Where should they go?
Head directly to the shop attached to the Lok Versa Museum. Remember the museum we talked about?
Yes, the cultural anthropology one. Makes sense.
Exactly. Because the museum's entire mandate is to showcase and preserve authentic traditions from all the regions, Balochistan, Sindh, Punjab, KP, the northern areas, etc. Their shop reflects that. They stock verified, generally high-quality handicrafts sourced directly from artisans across the country.
So you get better stuff, and the money goes to the right place.
Pretty much. It ensures superior quality compared to the roadside stalls. And it gives you a much better guarantee that you are actually supporting the craftspeople and their traditions. It's a much more meaningful purchase.
Good tip. And finally, a point that you've touched on, but it seems worth repeating because of its direct impact on stress levels and overall enjoyment. Skip the stress of driving yourself.
Absolutely. Please, just skip it. It cannot be overstated. The value proposition, the low cost, the reliability, the sheer convenience of the ride-sharing apps like Careem and Uber just makes self-driving utterly unnecessary in Islamabad for a visitor.
Even if you're a confident driver elsewhere.
Even then. Attempting to navigate that complex, fluid, enthusiastically interpreted traffic system we discussed earlier is basically a self-inflicted wound. It will immediately detract from the relaxing, serene atmosphere that is one of the city's main draws.
So just leave it to the pros.
Let the professional local drivers handle the urban kinetics. They know the flow, they know the shortcuts, they know the system. Your job as a visitor is to sit back, observe, and enjoy the ride and the view. Don't add unnecessary stress. Hashtag outro.
Well, we have covered a lot of ground here. A truly comprehensive deep dive into the many layers of Islamabad, from navigating the bureaucracy and logistics to the phenomenal food, that unique Doxiadis-inspired city planning, the sights, the nature, and that surprising underlying serenity. It's time, I think, for the final verdict.
Yes, synthesizing it all, the picture is overwhelmingly positive, isn't it?
Yeah.
On the pro side, I mean, you gain access to truly world-class, incredibly affordable food. That alone is a huge plus. Then you have it set against the backdrop of stunning, accessible natural beauty in the Margala Hills, right on the doorstep. You've got unique, powerful architectural statements like the Faisal Mosque and the Pakistan Monument that give you real cultural and historical context. And crucially, the people are reported as being genuinely and consistently warm and welcoming.
Big pros. And on the other side, what are the necessary hurdles, or let's say the cons, that a traveler just needs to be ready to accept if they decide to go?
Okay, realistically,
Yeah.
you still must approach the visa process with diligence and patience. Even the e-visa isn't instant, and you need to be thorough. For many people listening, depending on where they are, it is a long-haul flight to get there. That's a commitment of time and money.
True.
And fundamentally, this is a destination that requires a degree of adaptability.
Yeah.
It demands an open mind, and perhaps most importantly, a willingness to understand a place based on its current lived reality, not just on outdated or skewed media images. You need to be ready to have your preconceptions challenged.
Okay. My verdict, then, based on the sheer depth and quality of the potential experience that emerges from all this, that unique combination of unexpected safety, the green serenity, the amazing nature access, and that phenomenal cuisine, it has to be an enthusiastic, resounding yes. It seems like a journey that actively reshapes your entire perspective of the country, maybe even the region. A trip that will likely stay with you long after you get back.
I completely concur. It's a strong yes from me, too. Islamabad is arguably the perfect, maybe even gentle introduction to the broader wonders and complexities of Pakistan for a first-time visitor.
Gentle because?
Because it offers stability, it feels safe, it is exceptionally beautiful and clean, and its planned structure allows you to experience the best of the region, the food, the culture, the hospitality, without the sometimes overwhelming intensity or chaos that can be found in some other major South Asian cities. It eases you in.
So, wrapping this all out, what does this deep dive really mean for the traveler out there who might be planning their next big, maybe perspective-shifting adventure? What's the final provocative thought?
I think it's this. Islamabad is a city that doesn't just present itself as a series of sites on an itinerary. If you let it, it kind of shares its highly organized, surprisingly serene soul with you. If you are looking for an accessible, comfortable, yet profoundly rewarding travel experience, one that will fundamentally challenge how you view this complex and fascinating region of the world, then you should seriously consider putting Islamabad high up on your list.
Because it defies expectations.
Exactly. It is a destination that offers serenity where you might have expected chaos, order where you might have assumed sprawl, and incredible warmth where you might have feared indifference. And that unexpected contradiction, that pleasant surprise, that I think is its greatest reward for the curious traveler.